The Mixing Music Podcast is supported by listeners just like you. You can find a way to support us by going to mixingmusicpodcast.com/links and choosing to make a donation to the show, either a one-time payment or a reoccurring one. Any and all of which helps us to continue to grow. Thank you for your support.
One, two, three.
Hello and welcome back to the Mixing Music Podcast.
Hey!
I'm your host, Dee Kei. And with me as always is a lovely Lu.
A lovely Lou.
Lovely Lu.
I feel like Elvis Presley would say something like that. Lovely Lou. I don't know. I'm terrible at impressions. You know this, but
even though I lived in Hawaii, like the capital of Elvis impressions and impersonators, I don't know what Elvis sounds like.
I mean, how many impersonators sounded accurate?
A lot, bro. Go on TikTok. Yo, actually, impersonations is probably one of my favorite things to watch on TikTok. It's just not on my algorithm to get a lot of them. So
far, of the ones that you've shown me is the Be a Man one.
No, that's not an impression as much as like that's just funny.
No, not an impression, but just my favorite TikTok.
Oh, the favorite TikTok. Yeah. What is it? What does it say? It's like he's like,
if you don't know how to find what you're looking for in the store, don't ask for help. Leave. Be a man.
Be a man.
It's just like, wait, what? Like, how does that help? Like, at what point did that help?
Or it's like, if you've ever gone through anything traumatic, don't go to therapy. Drink every day. Be a man.
It's like, how did that help?
No.
And I love that he has a laugh track of like one guy or a group in the background.
Hold on.
Now it's always my favorite when it's just one guy.
Now I gotta pull it up. And play it. Especially the therapy. Oh, here it is. I got it now. Here it is. I'm gonna play it. Can you hear this?
Traumatized by something? Don't go to therapy. Drink every day. Be a man.
It kills me, bro. I love TikTok sometimes.
They have the weirdest things, but it's one of those that we were talking about, like clubhouses in this domain where it's equally as poisoning as it is educational. But I want to add equally as funny.
There you go.
Like, if you're just looking for comedy, like, man, can we just pay some of these TikTokers to just be comedians at this point?
I know, right? For reals. It's so good. It's so funny. Hey,
like, stop signing them as artists. Sign them as comedians.
Hey, but this is enough small talk because this could go on forever. And I know, let us know if you like the small talk. Follow us on Instagram at Midside Sound for Lou, at DK Mixes for me. It's in the description in the bio as well, wherever you're watching. We
have our own TikToks.
Yeah, and let's talk, first off, before we get to the episode, let me preface, a couple things. Is one, I need to be better about talking about our sponsors. So let's talk about our sponsors. We have a lot now. We actually gained a few more names. Including... we should do a whole ass episode on each of these, about each of these, because there's a lot of them. We have Spreaker now, which is what we use for hosting the podcast. So if you're looking to host start a podcast, check out Spreaker.com or check out links.dkmixes.com. Go to my resources or mixingmusicpodcast.com/sponsors. Mixingmusicpodcast.com. Go to the sponsor list. Click on Spreaker. We also so that's a big one. FilePass as always. We love FilePass. You've heard us talk about FilePass. That's probably the one that we make the most amount of money from, is from FilePass and Spreaker, those two. So we're really grateful if anybody signs up for those. We get a little commission from any sort of sales that we go through. Autotune officially gave us another affiliate deal as well for their Autotune Unlimited, which is a whole nother episode that we could talk about, which is really, really dope, including all their AVOX stuff, so it's really fun. But I want to talk about the importance of our YouTube channel as well. I look like, what do you call me?
Mr. Beaker.
Mr. Beaker from the Muppets, because my hair has exploded. I have coronavirus. We're videoing this from separate rooms, and my head has just exploded, so it just looks funny.
When you were using those backgrounds earlier, when it cut out everything except for your hair, that was amazing.
So look up Mixing Music Podcast on YouTube. You'll find my channel, DK Mixes. And feel free to subscribe. If you're already on YouTube, like the video, comment, subscribe, like whatever, all that jazz. And we're really grateful for you.
If you're on our YouTube, could you make a meme of Mr. Beaker and DK?
There you go. I want to see send the meme to Lou, and then he'll post it, and then don't send it to me because I don't want to know about it. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. No, send it to me first. Send it to me first, and then let's see. But yeah, that's it. So we're gonna get into the episode today. We're gonna talk about something very important. I don't know why we haven't talked about it before, and it's been on the front of my mind this week. Is the power of the bypass.
Dun, dun, dun.
And why, when mixing, bypassing your plugins is important. And we're going to add an extra level, why level matching is important with each plugin.
Oh my God. You know how many times I open up somebody's session and it's not level matched at all?
There you go. Or more importantly, like that's something that is kind of different between engineers, because I won't take off any of the plugins. So it doesn't matter if they're level matched or whatever. And by the time that I'm done, I won't. To a certain degree, some plugins I don't level match on purpose, as I kind of sometimes, like Leslie does this a lot, where he purposefully keeps adding volume or cutting volume, whatever track that he's using on with the tools that he's using. But I will say one thing though. This is classic. Lou, I know that you've done this too, and I've definitely done this, even as pros, but especially a lot when we were in the beginning stage. Is we use plugins just to use plugins, and we can't hear a difference, or we think we can't hear a difference. We move on. We don't even bypass the son of a bitch, okay? We don't even bypass the plugin to figure out if it's actually...
Who bypasses plugins?
I bypass them every single time. I tried.
I have never... I'm just kidding.
There you go. There you go. So it's important, and it's important to always be bypassing your plugins and never leaving on plugins out of habit for the sake of, like, always be using your ears, right? Lou, tell me a story about how, I know you got a story about there where you kept tweaking it and it was in bypass or something like that, or like your ears are fooling you and then you bypass something and you figure out something doesn't work actually.
So, funny enough, actually, this actually happened on the opposite end of the table. Recently, I was recording with an artist who told me, he's like, hey, can you tweak this? And I actually forgot that it was in bypass. And I just moved one thing, and I was like, oh, let me reach for the bypass because I'm not actually doing anything. Like, I realized halfway through the first twist that I wasn't doing anything. But what was funny is the client didn't. And the client said, whoa, whatever you did sounds better. Technically speaking, the plugin was in bypass. I didn't do anything. So when he wasn't looking, I took it off.
There you go. There you go.
I was like, well, don't need that one, apparently. It wasn't doing anything anyways.
You know how often that happens? That happens a surprisingly often amount.
Like, have you ever seen the memes where, like, somebody's on the fader? Like, right now, this thing in front of me, if you're watching on YouTube, is not turned on. They'll just go like this in front of the client. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that's better. But in all reality, it's not even in use. It's just a toy.
Yeah, like, I'll straight up, like, double bypass something. So, like, or I'll like, pretend like I do something and, like, double bypass it. So it'll just go back into bypass. And they'll be like, yeah, that sounds better. And I'm like, yep. So it's to the point where if we call that artist for doing it every single time, it's not good. So to any artists that are backseat drivers with mixing, remember that the mixer has more experience than you probably, unless especially if you're paying them money, or if you know that they have more experience than you. Respect their experience, because sometimes you do not know how often artists look a fool in the studio. It's funny, but
actually, I think I just
nice.
made some TikTok videos based on that.
Yeah,
it's like what was the recent one I did? Things artists lie to themselves in the studio about. Like, oh, I know it sounds rough right now, but the engineer can fix it.
What?
Wait. You said I could do what now? Fix it. No. No. If it's bad, it's bad. Like, there's no fixing bad.
There you go. There you go. It's so funny. But that being said, like, most artists don't do that, so it's not a big deal. But going back to the topic, the importance of bypass, like, even as a pro engineer, I'll find myself doing things that, like, I'll put on my go-to habitual plugins or whatever, and I'll dial it in to where I usually like it, and then I'll move on, and I come back to it, and it turns out that plugin was distorting in a bad way, or something was going on where I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't paying attention. And even as a pro, like the importance of hitting bypass. Like if you ever watch me mix now, like I am always hitting bypass. Shift A is the Pro Tools shortcut for bypassing plugins on a selected track. So if you select every single track and you hit Shift A, it'll bypass all the plugins on that track. Hence why you want to level match as well. So if you level match and then you bypass, then you can actually hear before and after with proper gain staging, with proper volume matching. But I do a combination of, if you do control click, then it'll bypass everything past that plugin and anything beyond it, but not the ones before. Obviously, command click does bypass. I really do recommend continuing to remember, don't do anything. The point of this lesson is to not do anything habitually or because somebody told you, or even worse, because on YouTube there's a lot of false information or a lot of information that worked on that one song in that one instance with that one producer, and it may not ever work in any other situation ever. So I would say just always be using bypass and always be using your ears.
Yeah, I totally agree. The funny thing is, you ever listen to a mix of yours the next day and you're like, wow, the vocals seem like I maybe put a little too much saturation on, or they're a little overcompressed and this and that. Reality is half the time we just work until we're fatigued and don't even notice we're fatigued. We just keep working. A big help with this whole bypassing is to take little breaks in between your mixes. If you're mixing for 30 minutes, your ears are probably fatiguing just a bit right now. Now, with that said, if you're fatiguing and you don't realize it, anytime you hit bypass, you may not hear a major difference. Your ears, if you're doing minor touches on the EQ, you may be able to hear like just enough of the change to be like, okay, cool, that's what I like. You'd be surprised what a 30-minute walk around your block or going out for some fresh air to get some tea, whatever you want to do. Go out, come back, and start bypassing a few things just to make sure that you like the changes that you've made. And sometimes that little 30-minute break gives you all kinds of clarity in your mix. You're like, wow, actually, I overdid this. Or, you know what, I underdid this. You know what, the hi-hat's too loud. I thought it was perfect earlier, but now I need to turn it down. Whatever it may be. But a nice little break will help the bypass.
There you go. And to be honest, you know what the most beautiful thing about the bypass button is? Is sometimes...
It's just a button?
Yeah, there you go. It's just a button. But sometimes you find out that when you hit bypass it sounds better.
You know how many times I take people's... I'll get sent a song, they're like, oh, we already mixed it and everything. Sounds great, but you can make it sound better. I'll bypass some of the stuff that I didn't necessarily like in the mix, and then I'll send it back, and they're like, oh my God, that's significantly better. I'm like, you just overdid yourself. Like, I didn't mix it. I just took off some of the things you overdid. That's it.
So it's incredible, the power of the bypass button and how underutilized it is, especially by those who are just beginning. Like, continue to, like, always, like, hit back and forth. If you can't hear a difference, this is part of the ear training as well, is keep clicking on and off until you can hear a difference. Just make sure it's the right plugin, not the wrong one. Or it's on the right channel. If you've soloed something, just make sure that it's on the right channel. It's very important that this is a big part of the ear training. Like, I would say that, like, if you can't hear compression, if you can't hear saturation that well, continue to hit bypass and see what it does, and continue to go back and forth. Spend a lot of time hitting bypass. Even as a pro, I'm using a lot of time hitting bypass and unbypassing everything and turning everything off and on and everything like that, just to make sure. And I will say, as well, like, even yesterday I was doing a little mastering session. I'm not really a mastering engineer. I've said this in the past. But I was doing a little mastering session, and this label wants to continue. They're like, -6 LUFS is not loud enough, and they want me to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And a couple of the plugins, I use a lot of saturation and stuff on the master bus, and one of the things that I noticed is that the extra loud parts, the hits were distorting a little bit more than I liked, and I couldn't figure it out, and I kept readjusting everything, and then I was like, wait a second, let me just bypass everything and turn back on every little part, every little plugin, one by one, until I figure out which one's the one that's making it distort. Sure enough, it was like the third or fourth one, or the second or third one of the earlier ones. And all I had to do was I blended the mix knob on one of them and turned down the other one so it didn't distort. So it's like, that's all it was. And it was great to figure out what's going on. Even me, like I mess up and need to use bypass more often. So I would recommend everybody, please bypass, especially if you're new to mixing, please, 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 please bypass and actually make sure that what you're doing sounds better relative to you, whatever you're going for.
It's just like a lot of people know the mute trick to be, if you're trying to figure out where a certain element exists in the track, like just mute it and then see what goes missing. Well, same thing. If you feel like the way the vocals sounded originally didn't sound so great, but it's a little bit better now, but it just sounds maybe tubby or overcompressed or whatever it is, using the bypass one by one and trying to figure out which one of the plugins actually made that difference that you're not so fond of will help you find out which one to tweak versus just reaching for whatever.
Yes.
Listen to it in context of the mix, not just in solo.
It's really important. I know this is a super simple concept, but it is something that we did. Right now we just made an entire episode out of it because it is super important, and more importantly, with people that we help out, we do see it underutilized a lot. Hit the bypass button more often. Train your ears. Get better. Actually make decisions on purpose and not instinctually, habitually, and continue to do that. On that note, once again, if you are looking for free resources, free plugins, free PDFs, just free stuff in general, if you're looking to help us out, support us by checking out any of our sponsored sponsors and affiliates, go to mixingmusicpodcast.com, check those out, sign up, or use any of those links, and we'll get a little commission if you use any of those, and we really appreciate it. FilePass is on there. I know I use FilePass all the time. I love FilePass. Again, Spreaker, if you're looking for podcast, Plugin Boutique is awesome. There's a bunch of free plugins. There's a bunch of really nice paid ones as well. We use Plugin Boutique all the time. Canva, if you're into graphic design, and a bunch of other stuff. So we're really excited for all of our partners, and we're really excited for our number one sponsor of the show. I'm going to steal Sonic Scoop again. You, the listener. You're our number one sponsor.
Fans.
We're really, really grateful. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you love what we do, again, feel free to share. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow or leave a 5-star review or whatever it is on whatever platform it is. We really appreciate that good stuff. We're a growing podcast. I know we're a mainstream podcast, lol. You know how many people have messaged me and referenced that episode when we talk about how mainstream our podcast is now?
I think we were canceled like twice in that episode.
There you go. And it was funny. You can't cancel ourselves. What the heck?
Just watch. I'm gonna make it possible.
No, don't do that. Don't. Knock on wood, bro. Knock on wood. Hey, but we're really, really grateful for everybody that's listening and for your support. Thank you so much. We have a lot more coming in the future of Mixing Music Podcast, and we've grown so much already. It's almost been 2 years now. I need to check back, but it's been almost 2 years now. And it's been an incredible journey and many more years to come, hopefully. So, and a lot more other opportunities, especially when coronavirus opens up. We will be doing in-person seminars. We might, dude, one of these days, I want to get so big that we do a cross-country tour with like seminars and like live podcast recordings and things like that.
You know what? I would love that. And if we can do it in the most like, I don't know, I would love to one day just end up somewhere and be like, where are we?
There you go.
Like in the woods.
There you
go.
Like,
this is our arena.
There you go. So, yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff happening. And thank you so much for listening. Y'all are awesome. On that note, happy mixing, my friends, and stay saucy.
1, 2, 3.
If you'd like to take advantage of my free guides and online videos, please check out links.dkmixes.com. That's links.dekeimixes.com. You've been trying to create content to help grow your personal brand and your business. Maybe you've decided to start a podcast. Well, now you're in luck. Visit mixingmusicpodcast.com and check out our official sponsor list, where you can find Spreaker, our hosting website that we use for our podcast, for your next podcast show. Click on that link and get a month free. You're welcome.